So, welcome back to Zenwell Therapy, aka Backyard Therapy. Um, what are we going to talk about today that might be helpful for someone watching? The topic that is coming to mind is, well, let's put it this way. I think most people know this phrase and they'll get caught up doing this, and usually due to anxiety. And this phrase is called overthinking. Okay. I have a lot of clients that come into therapy, and many of them will mention, like, oh, yeah, I have the habit of overthinking. I overthink everything. Right. And so we find ways to work on it. Right. It's usually anxiety related because the racing thoughts, the constant worrying is just too much, and they can't just, dim the light switch in the mind, or they don't know how to just turn it off for a second so their mind can be quiet. So I'm mentioning this because that is actually not the topic of today. Um, I'm going to bring up something else that's kind of similar. And I think a lot of clients, or just a lot of people in general, do not reflect on what I'm about to talk about. So, what I'm going to talk about today instead is what I call overfeeling. Okay. And yes, I do believe from working with clients for many years, we can overfeel, right? And some people will very much disagree. Okay. I've had clients disagree, people in my life disagree whenever I bring it up. I think sometimes even my wife would disagree. Okay. So the reason I'm bringing it up because I've seen it with my clients. And over the years, it is a real thing for me. Overfeeling, it's very similar to overthinking, where we feel too much of something, of some emotions, and it becomes unproductive. It becomes um, not beneficial to yourself and the people around you. Okay. So let's give an example. When it comes to um, let's say CBT, okay, if you guys know what it is. If you don't, it is cognitive behavioral therapy. And there are what we call cognitive distortions. So these are irrational thoughts that go through our mind. And if we're not aware of them, we believe they are true, okay? They have certain categories of cognitive distortions. And the one I'm going to be referring to is called emotional reasoning, right? So, what does that mean? It basically means just because you feel something, you believe it is true. Okay. So, I guess in modern terms, I call that overfeeling, right? Because you feel so much of something, you believe it must be true because I feel it, right? So, let's say, for example, um, a client comes in, they're having relational issues, and it's more like, oh, I feel that my partner is cheating on me. Okay, that's pretty common. It's a common issue regarding relationships, right? Um, However, they don't have a lot of evidence to prove that the person is having an affair. Okay. Now, just to add, sometimes a gut feeling is true. And it's only a matter of time that, oh, yeah, I always knew that person was cheating, and I finally caught him or her. Okay. So that could be the case. But what I'm talking about is when you feel something and there is no evidence about it, right? It could be, here, I'll give you a silly example. Okay. I can wake up one morning and I feel very lucky. For whatever reason, I woke up on the right side of the bed. I had this awesome dream, and I just feel super lucky. And I never feel like this when I wake up in the morning, right? And so my mind goes to, like, wow, I feel so lucky. I wonder if I'm going to, like, win the lotto today. It's like, huh, maybe, because I never have this feeling. And so I get up, I go to the store, I get a lotto ticket, right? And throughout the day, I'm still feeling very lucky. I got a ticket in my pocket or my wallet. Nighttime comes, they draw the numbers. I check my ticket, and I didn't win. Wow. What happened there? Okay, it sounds very silly, but just because I felt very lucky and I felt like I was going to win the lotto, I didn't. So just because I feel something does not mean it's true. Okay. Um, so again, it's a very silly example, but I'm just giving you, um, I guess, certain scenarios that could happen in your life, right? Um, maybe you made a mistake at work, and it was maybe a kind of a semi bigger mistake, right, regarding whatever work you do. And you get called into the office, you speak with the manager. I mean, they're just trying to help you so you don't make the same mistake again. And you walk away from the meeting, and now you feel like you're going to get fired soon. You feel like you're going to get let go because of this mistake. And now your mind goes into like, oh no, I got to find another job. Um, I gotta apply to different employers and update my resume, and I gotta fill out applications. Oh, it's so stressful. And you're doing all of this just because you feel like you're going to get fired, right? When it could not be true, right? That meeting could have been a one-time deal, and in the office, the manager just leaves you alone, right? Because now you've made changes where you don't make those same mistakes anymore, right? So again, that's a, I guess, pretty practical example where you feel something and you think it's true, but it's not, right? So I call that again overfeeling. Okay. Um, I also give you different examples where overfeeling can be unproductive and just not useful. Okay. I remember when I was in graduate school to become a therapist, right? And I did not have all this knowledge and experience yet. So this is many years ago, okay? Um, there was a female student in one of the classes that she was sharing a story about herself. And at this time, it was not about overfeeling, but it's me now reflecting on that story because that story always stuck in my mind because there's a good message to it. Um, I'm like, huh, I think it kind of fits. So now I'm going to tell you the story. Okay, so story time. The female student, she was getting training to work with autistic kids, okay, for ABA. And so she's working with her trainer, okay, and a lot of times with working with autistic children, you go to their home, their residence where they live, and you're trying to help them develop um, skills and behavior so they can function, okay, manage their emotions. It could be brush their teeth or just communicate so they can kind of express what's going on without using words, etc. So the female student, she said she walked in, met the autistic child, and they were just kind of like doing the introductions. And all of a sudden, the child got angry or very upset. And all of these unhealthy behaviors started coming out of the child. And she was very fresh into this field of work. And so she got very overwhelmed, okay? And she started crying. She went to the bathroom and she just could not handle the situation regarding the child, right? And so now she's telling the story. The trainer goes where she is in the bathroom, and the female student was just crying, okay? And the trainer is like, "Hey, what's going on here? Like, what are you doing?" And the female student was saying like, I just feel so bad for the kid. It is so sad. I can't believe that this child lives his life this way. Like, I don't know how to handle it. It's too much, right? I just feel so bad for him. And the trainer was like, right, so the trainer, again, probably been through this type of a situation for a long time, okay, but she's used to it. And the trainer told her, right now he doesn't need your sympathy. He doesn't need your empathy. He doesn't need your pity. He needs your help. Okay? That's what he needs, right? And so to me, that could be a, a different version of overfeeling. She felt so much emotions about the child because she felt sorry for him. She felt bad for him that she herself became like helpless, right? Like she couldn't even figure out how to help herself when she was there to help the child. Okay, so we can overfeel so much where we just become helpless and unproductive, right? Um, so the trainer, once she said those things again, hey, he doesn't need your sympathy, your empathy, or your pity right now. He needs your help, right? And it kind of like snapped her out of that state. She got her emotions together, and then she realized, like, oh yeah, basically me over feeling all these emotions I have, it's really not useful in the situation. I got to figure out how to manage it, to contain it, and do my job and help this child. All right. So, if this story makes sense to you or it resonates with you, you can also reflect on, if you want, okay, what situations, what experiences have you had, or maybe what your triggers are, where now you start feeling a lot of emotions to the point where you overfeel and you do nothing, right? You overfeel and you think certain things are true, but you find out they're not. You overfeel and you feel like, wow, it's so out of my control. I am so powerless in this situation when it could not be true. There's probably something you can do or start doing to improve the situation, to make yourself better, to help someone, to develop a skill at work or whatever it is, right? So, this is just a reminder if you already know. And if you don't know, maybe this is something new you can reflect on if you think it'll be helpful. Just because you feel something strongly, it doesn't mean that you cannot improve, you cannot get better or make a change that is positive. Because I believe we can all do that. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. It just depends on what you're going through in life. But I truly believe that. That's why I'm sharing this today on this video. So overthinking, hey, I believe that's a real thing, and overfeeling, I also believe it's a real thing. Okay, I don't know if all therapists are going to agree with me regarding this concept, but for me, from my experience working with a lot of clients over the years, it's pretty real to me, and I see it almost every week. Um, Another thing I'll mention before wrapping up regarding the overfeeling concept. Um, from my experience, again, okay, I would say it is not usually a good idea or the healthiest idea to make a permanent decision while in a heightened emotional state. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, not making a permanent decision while in a heightened emotional state. Okay, so I said it again to see if it helps sink in. Here's another example of what I would call overfeeling. Okay, let's say someone's in a relationship. Well, let's say I have a couple. If I have a couple in therapy session, okay, we're doing couples therapy, right? And this happens, I'll say a handful of times. Um, One partner says like, "Oh, you know, my partner here has the habit of always breaking up with me when he's upset." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I'll ask, um, let's say the male partner, like, "Hey, can you tell me more about that? Like, what happens to you when you keep breaking up with your partner?" And they'll say something like, "Oh, like whenever I get in an argument or get frustrated, I'll just tell them like, oh, it's over. I'm done. I'm out of here. Relationship is done." Okay, and I'll walk out. Um, I'll leave to my house or go somewhere that's not in the same place as my partner, and about a couple of days later, I'll reach back out and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Will you please get back together with me?" And usually this partner says like, "Oh yes, like I just know how you are now because this is your kind of your um, normal, I guess, habitual routine with us whenever you get upset and frustrated. And so I just accept it. It's like, wow, I can't take it seriously anymore. But however, it is still rather like annoying or bothersome, right? So when I hear stories like that, I'm thinking like, oh, so he's over feeling a certain emotion, whether it's sadness, frustration, anger, maybe shame, disappointment, failure, whatever they are, and he makes a permanent decision in that state. It's over. I'm breaking up. We're done forever, basically, right? And then he realizes, oh, that was not the right move. I kind of regret it. So now I got to go ask her if she'll take me back, right? And he's lucky enough where this partner does take her back. But in the past, an ex did not take him back, right? But he's stuck in this type of like cycle that he does to himself in relationships. So, what's usually, I guess, healthier? If someone is in a heightened emotional state and they're feeling frustrated and angry, or whatever it is, right? Instead of trying to decide, oh, do I want to be in this relationship or not, they can communicate something different, saying, hey, you know what, I just need a break right now regarding just this interaction. I think I'm gonna just go home and call it a night, and we'll talk later. Right? They're still together, but just like, hey, I just need to go. I need to go for a walk. I need to go to the gym to kind of cool off, but we'll talk later. We're not breaking up. Um, and you just need some space. Okay. And then after you have that space, you go do your, whatever activity to cope, and you reduce your symptoms and they calm down. At that state now, when you're more stable with your emotions, you can probably be in a healthier mindset to figure out, do I want to stay in this relationship, or do I think it's time to leave it and do something else, right? So if you're in a calmer state of mind, that decision will probably be a healthier decision, whether you go left or right. Okay, because it won't be so impulsive. It won't be so reactive, where you're trying to make a permanent decision so quickly, and you're not putting like all of the variables, the pros, the cons, the long-term view, the past. You're not putting all of that together in a centered state where you can finally make a permanent decision. Okay. Um, so that's just another example for me as a therapist where someone overfeels something and tries to make a permanent decision. When it's usually better, from my experience, you let those emotions settle, you let them calm down, and then from there, figure out if you want to make a permanent decision or not. Because usually this one here would be healthier. You'd be okay with this long-term permanent decision. Um, Overall in your life. It doesn't have to be about relationships. It could be about work. Let's say like you had an argument with a customer, your boss, a coworker, and at that moment you decide, you know what, I'm going to leave this employer. I'm going to find a new job and a new career. And then you start going that way. And then after a while, you realize like, oh, maybe this wasn't the best decision. I was too reactive. I was too impulsive. Yeah, because again, in a heightened emotional state, when you're overfeeling, you try to make a permanent decision, and now there's regret, and they have to backtrack, right? Maybe you're asking your boss for your job back or whatever it is. So let the emotions play out. Okay, find ways to manage it, to reduce it, and once it's settled, then in that state again, you try to make a decision. Okay, do I want to stay in this workplace? Not because of that one incident that happened yesterday, but overall, is this what I really want to do with work? Are these the type of people I want to work with? Is this the culture of a workplace that I want to be at every day? Or do I want something else? And then from there, if you're trying to make a permanent decision to leave or stay, I think it would be easier and there'd be a lot more clarity in the decision when you actually do make one, right? Um, I mean, there are so many examples I can give regarding this concept of overfeeling. Um, but this is just like, I guess, um, my quick version of this idea, right? So, um, if if you think this is going to help you, then hey, maybe you want to reflect on it and figure out, is this something I do often, or do I know someone who does this often? and you can observe their life and be like, wow, that's probably not the best way to make permanent decisions. Then you can learn for yourself just by observing someone, like, okay, maybe I'll try something else because it could be better. Who knows? Um, and if this idea does not resonate with you, if you think it's terrible, like, wow, that's kind of like ignoring my feelings and emotions, and I feel like invalidated and not understood, then hey, don't apply this into your life, right? Um, this is just one way to look at our emotions, not the only way, okay? Because sometimes in life, our emotions they can drive us to make very very good decisions, very healthy decisions, but I'm just saying it's not all the time, right? Uh, Again, that's just how I feel about it because of the work I do over the years. So I hope this helps a little bit. Um, if it doesn't, well, maybe someone you know can use this, and if you want to share it, great. But if not, it's okay. Um, I just think it might be helpful putting it out to, I guess, the online world, and hopefully it does help someone. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Be well, Zen well, and I'll see you soon.